Hello and welcome back. I'm sitting here in Egan Reserve in Coburg, the home of my latest purchase. The area is a dog off the leash area. You can see dogs behind me that don't have a leash, and behind me is Merri-Creek. The area is quite sentimental because I was raised here as a young child. I went to Coburg North Primary. My high school was Newlands High. My dad was a barber. He had a barber shop in the Coles car park behind Sydney Road, and I lived in Matheson Street in North Coburg, and I used to walk every day along the creek. It took me about 45 minutes to get to school. My kids don't believe it, but it's quite true. And I loved Merri-Creek, and I still do, and I'm not the only one. My client, medical professional, has a Labrador, and the Labrador loves jumping in the creek, and I'll tell you the story. Listen on. So this story is quite amazing. It's one of my favourite stories. It's also one of my favourite customers. About 4 weeks ago, we received a call from this medical professional. She had a Labrador. Labrador's named Delphi. She asked me to bid at an auction for her in Brunswick East. It was an interesting house. At the back of the house there was a Russian church, and there were high tension power lines. It was in a nice street. However, the optics weren't too good, and neither was the house. Luckily, the property sold for about $220,000 above reserve. And at the time, I asked her if she enjoyed coming to these auctions and being outbid, and obviously she didn't. Decided to come on as a full service customer. After about a week, we had our first big disappointment. We found a place in Rennie Street in Thornbury, which was ideal. The place was near the creek. And what this meant was her Labrador, which loves jumping into the creek, was only within walking distance. We put an offer in, and the offer was accepted. However, the agent decided to call all the buyers, and we needed to do an online auction. And at that online auction, we got outbidded. So that was her second disappointment. So she got outbidded at the Brunswick Street auction, and she was outbidded at the Thornbury auction. About a week ago, I found this property here, and this was a forthcoming auction. She liked the property, certainly the location, but she hadn't seen through the property. Then we discovered that a buyer that had inspected it had placed an offer, and it was accepted by the owner. We were called in to see if we were interested in challenging the offer, which of course we were. At the online auction, it was between us and another bidder. Luckily, fortunately, we placed a bid that allowed us to purchase this particular property. Interestingly, the client didn't necessarily need a parking spot and was happy to buy something with no off-street parking. The funny thing is we landed on a property that doesn't need any work. No money needs to be spent on it. It's located 2 minutes walking from the creek, which is ideal. What's quite amazing is she now has 4 off-street parking spots, plus a single garage. And this is the one. So just a fantastic story, and I'm so happy for her.